Could something as simple as hydrogen-enriched water hold the key to reversing chronic disease? Today, sit down with Dr. Paul Barattiero, founder of Echo Water, to explore how hydrogen water helps reduce oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, two major drivers of disease. Dr. Barattiero breaks down the science of hydrogen as a selective antioxidant, explaining how it targets harmful free radicals and supports the body's natural healing processes. He shares how hydrogen impacts brain health and hormone production, offering promising results for conditions like Parkinson's disease and cancer. Stay till the end as we discuss whether it can be safely used alongside chemotherapy or radiation treatments. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Katie Deming, and this is the Born to Heal podcast, where we share practical tools and knowledge to help you create conditions for true health in your life. Let's welcome Dr. Paul Barattiero, founder of Echo Water. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. So I want to start by asking you, what is all the buzz about hydrogen water? Why is this all the craze right now?
It's the craze because it has very healing properties. And there are over 1,400 studies now, 200 disease models, over 200 disease models that have either a disease modifying effect or significant benefits. So people are like, what the heck is this? I didn't know hydrogen gas would help me in such a way, but clearly our body is designed, and we can talk about this in depth in just a minute, but our bodies are designed to produce hydrogen gas. And there's a reason. It's critical to life.
And tell us, why is it critical to life? What are the things that hydrogen gas does for our body?
So our body is carbon-hydrogen chains if we really look at our makeup. But everything from stomach acid, HCl, right? H is hydrogen. So you can't even make stomach acid without having hydrogen gas in the body. But the two primary things that are critical for health, hydrogen manages or modulates oxidation. And so oxidation is healthy, but oxidative stress is not. That's where we have cellular function issues or cellular damage. And so we don't want to have oxidative stress. We want to have just oxidation. Hydrogen, one of its major roles is to manage oxidation so that we don't end up with oxidative stress. The second is inflammation. So those are the two main things in the body that hydrogen, and it does a million other things, but those are the two things I want to talk about first, because the combination of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation is disease. That is the leading cause of disease, whichever disease you want. You know, there's tons to choose from nowadays. The cause of those is oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So hydrogen naturally reduces both of those things, and so therefore would reduce the source of disease.
Absolutely. And for my listeners, they know I'm talking about oxidative stress and inflammation all the time because, my particular specialty is cancer, but I talk about this all the time, that all of the diseases, the chronic diseases that we are seeing are all coming from the same things, and they all are related to chronic inflammation, and oxidative stress is a big part of chronic inflammation. So you're definitely speaking my language. Maybe tell us some of the foundational science about this and how how did we learn that hydrogen, and specifically hydrogen water, can reduce oxidative stress and help with inflammation?
What really woke up the scientific and medical community was a study that was published in 2009 by Nature Medicine. So Nature, as you know, is a very well-respected periodical, and the studies that they published, they have scrutinized to a very serious degree. So when we look at that study that was titled How Hydrogen Gas is a Selective Antioxidant, it kind of freaked everyone out, because in the medical community, we all know what antioxidants are. We immediately think electron donor, right? And the fact that an antioxidant is an electron donor, once it donates its electron, it becomes a pro-oxidant, and therefore is a problem that the
Mhm.
body has to deal with. And the fact that it is a pro-oxidant, this is a problem with chemotherapy. This is a problem with other modalities that are done in the medical community. So when hydrogen was discovered to be a selective antioxidant, people were like, wait a minute, what the heck is a selective antioxidant? So what that really means is that hydrogen gas, H2, only reacted with ROS, or what's called reactive oxygen species. And what does that really mean? The bad radicals. So most people think that all radicals are bad, but that's not true. Most radicals have a physiological role in the body, they're life sustaining. Only superoxide, hydroxyl radicals, things like this that are cell damaging or what we call cytotoxic, those are what we want gone from our body. And that's what hydrogen does. So, what's really beautiful about hydrogen is it's selective. It only bothers or stops the cytotoxic or the cell damaging oxygen radicals in the body. And for example, hydroxyl radical is the most cell damaging radical in the human body. And it typically is in the mitochondrial respiratory chain to stop ATP production, right? So, energy, we all want energy, and that's why a lot of us feel low energy is mitochondrial function is low. Well, this study showed specifically that the hydroxyl radical was stopped by hydrogen gas, and therefore ATP production was good, energy levels were good. And these are the kind of things that really freaked everyone out.
In a good way.
Yes.
And you say
Yeah.
freaked out is like something new that they hadn't thought
Right.
about in terms of reducing oxidative stress. So, and I love that. I love that you bring that up in terms of the selective aspect of
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And, actually, I'm just going to ask you a question about this because this is something that's come up. So, I was a radiation oncologist. I no longer practice radiation oncology, but one of the mechanisms of damage for radiation causing damage to cancer cells is through basically bombardment of the water molecules with these high energy photons or electrons and basically breaks apart the water to
Mhm.
create oxygen radicals that basically
Right.
then damage the DNA. So this is the mechanism of
Right.
radiation therapy. One of them, you can have direct damage to the DNA as well, but a lot of it is through reacting with water. And so one of the things that I had, been taught was that, well, hydrogen water maybe shouldn't be given while people are having radiation therapy because it can scavenge those free radicals that are basically intended to damage the DNA of the cancer cells. And so, but there are some studies showing benefits of using hydrogen water in the setting of radiation therapy. And I'm wondering, can you speak to that at all? Do you?
Absolutely. So there is no issue. There are 125 studies to date showing hydrogen as very anti-cancer. And one of the studies I can speak to was a colon cancer study, colon 26, for example, the 26th line, colon 26 cancer was greatly helped. So in that particular study, they compared hydrogen water, 5-fluorouracil, which is the chemotherapy of choice for colon cancer, and then combining the chemotherapy drug and hydrogen at the same time. What they realized is that, well, first of all, they went up to Mount Fuji in Japan and they got naturally occurring hydrogen water. So that's the first thing we can talk about is that hydrogen water does occur naturally in the world that we live in, and so we're not making anything unnatural. It occurs naturally. So now they compared naturally occurring hydrogen water to high content hydrogen water like echo water, and there was more anti-cancer activity with the higher content hydrogen water than there was naturally occurring hydrogen water. And they had significant cancer effects because of apoptosis. So, apoptosis is simply a mechanism in the body where cells that are duplicating incorrectly would destroy themselves. This is how the body is designed. Somehow, when a normal becomes a cancer cell, apoptosis is turned off. So that's how these cells duplicate and continue. Well, hydrogen benefits apoptosis. It turns it back on. And so these cells are destroying themselves. So in this study, it showed that hydrogen water had a very strong anti-cancer activity in the body. Now, when they combined 5-fluorosil with hydrogen water, 100% cancer cell death. And therefore, the study was a positive study, clearly saying that the hydrogen water empowered the chemotherapy drug to work even better because I really believe the cells were destroying themselves. And so a lot of the work was done. And then the chemotherapy drug was able to do what it did from a targeting perspective. But clearly, hydrogen water did not inhibit this chemotherapy drug. And there is no other drug today that has ever been shown that hydrogen affects it negatively. And so you can utilize hydrogen water with any modality that you're using. It will not inhibit that modality from working correctly or as intended.
Okay, so that's beautiful because, and I want my listeners to hear that, is that using hydrogen water during conventional therapies like chemotherapy, immunotherapy, or radiation therapy is not going to interfere with the effects of those therapies. And to be honest, I had been confused about this because in the water space, there are people who say, oh, maybe you shouldn't be doing hydrogen water, during chemotherapy or radiation because of the antioxidant properties. But exactly what you just described is the apoptosis aspect probably overrides any, shift in like scavenging free radicals there. So I think that's that's incredible.
Yeah, that's key. And then second, the way normal traditional antioxidants work is by electron donorship. That is not at all how hydrogen gas is an electron. I mean, it's not an electron donor. That's not how it performs its antioxidant function. That's what we need to make sure everyone who's listening understands. Traditional antioxidants donate an electron. That's why they're considered an antioxidant. The problem is once they donate their electron to complete another thing, they become a pro-oxidant themselves. So it's almost a problem-making process. Hydrogen does not have an extra electron. It is neutral to begin with. The reason why hydrogen is considered an antioxidant is because of its signal modulation effects. It modulates pathways over 200 biomolecules in the body, and that gets a little sciencey. We don't have to go there. But the point is hydrogen is a signal modulator, and it causes things to work the way they are supposed to. So it is not an electron donor and therefore does not get in the way of any other drug or modality that people are prescribing or doctors are prescribing and using.
So I love that with this study of looking at 5-FU plus hydrogen water alone. So even alone, so with conventional therapies, there's a potential additive, or there is an additive benefit based on this study, and there are other studies as well. But tell us about, with the studies, maybe besides even this one, just of the role of hydrogen water and cancer. Are there, larger studies that have looked at the impact of hydrogen water in cancer without conventional therapies? Are you aware of any of that?
Yes. So tumor sizes are reduced. And first, we need to understand that oxidative stress and inflammation, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation are the cause of disease, including cancer. So when hydrogen gas, H2 gas, primary role in the body is to manage, modulate, or reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, if this is the cause of disease and you're reducing it, then clearly you're reducing the cause of disease. We don't talk in a perspective of curing diseases or curative. We talk about what is the source of that disease model, and can we lessen or reduce the source problem, or can we get rid of the source problem? And if you can get rid of the cause or the source problem, then you can greatly affect that disease model. And that's really where we live. And when you have 1,400 studies that all start with oxidative stress and inflammation is the cause of this issue. Hydrogen is a very potent antioxidant and a potent anti-inflammatory function of the body and anti-cancer when it's a cancer study. Next thing you know, they talk about what exact pathways are being modulated by hydrogen in that disease model. And I'll give you an example. We talked about cancer, and I know it's simple, but I'll say it again. Cancer is a result of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. How you got to the point of having oxidative stress and chronic inflammation in your body is a different conversation, because the pathway to get there can be a number of things. It can be emotional, it can be gut related, it can be all kinds of, it can be toxicity, it can be many, many things. But what I want you to understand is that hydrogen modulates or reduces oxidative stress inflammation, which is the cause of the disease. So, period. That's the science. The second thing we have to understand is that hydrogen is not doing the heavy lifting itself. Hydrogen is like a coordinator or a manager in an office. And I don't want to pick on managers, but it's not always that managers do the heavy lifting. Managers motivate others to do the most important work, which is the heavy lifting. And so hopefully those managers are giving praise to those employees who are doing all the hard work. If the manager doesn't show up, sometimes those workers don't do the heavy lifting as much as they did the day before, or maybe not at all. And so hydrogen is a manager or a coordinator. It is a signal modulator. That's really what a signal modulator means in layman's terms. It just causes things to happen. Just like a manager being present in the office causes things to happen. And so with the absence of hydrogen, a lot of systems that are very natural to the body don't work, or they're working on a limited basis. That's why we end up having problems. So having hydrogen in the body, and we're not talking the more hydrogen, the better. We don't need a bigger belt buckle. We don't need bigger. We just need hydrogen in the body on a regular basis so it can modulate pathways. I'll give you an example, Parkinson's. And this is a very easy one, which is why I'm choosing this. Parkinson's, horrible disease. Hydrogen doesn't do the change in the brain. What happens is when hydrogen gas hits the stomach, it signals gastric ghrelin, Ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone, right? And it's one of the master hormones, leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin, which is going to the brain. Hydrogen's not going to the brain necessarily. Not that it can't get there, but that's not important for it to be there. What is important is for gastric ghrelin. It's an mRNA, right? Ghrelin is a anyways. So it can go to the brain and it can change cognitive function. It can change plasticity of the brain. It can change alpha and beta waves. It can change function. It can change tremors. There's a lot of things that happen when ghrelin goes to the brain, because ghrelin changes cognitive function. Even for those with ADD and ADHD and those that have other issues in the brain, ghrelin is very critical for the brain. So again, the only places where ghrelin is produced is stomach or intestinal tract. Both places are where hydrogen is supposed to be, because hydrogen is supposed to be signaling ghrelin to form. So in the study of Parkinson's, there's 22 studies to date on Parkinson's. They said there was no striatal hydrogen, but there is striatal ghrelin in the brain, and ghrelin was responsible for the benefits, the disease-modifying effects of hydrogen water with the brain was because of ghrelin. It's not hydrogen, but hydrogen's causing ghrelin to be there. So that's where I want people to understand, we don't stick a needle in the head and inject hydrogen in there. We drink water so that we get hydrogen in the stomach, and therefore ghrelin secretions go up to the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the brainstem to change function.
I love it. And I think that it's helpful for people to understand that. And also, I like that you explained, look, This is not dealing with the underlying cause. I mean, that's what my whole practice is about. It's like
Mhm.
emotional trauma leads to illness in the body and chronic stress and
Yeah.
inflammation, and also the toxins in our environment and the toxins in our food and eating the wrong foods and all that stuff. So, this is not like the panacea of keep eating all your processed food and sugar and being an emotional toxicity and drink your hydrogen water and it's going to make everything better. It's like, if you're doing all those other pieces to deal with the underlying problems, this is something that our body can use to facilitate the function that will help the healing to occur in the body. And it's a modulator of reducing oxidative stress and, chronic inflammation. So I love that, because I think that's one of the things that people are like, oh my gosh, hydrogen water, that's the answer. Like, I'm going to just do this. And then it's like, you can, but
Right.
that's not the solution. Yeah.
Well, it's not going to fix your relationship issues, right? It's not going to fix your communication patterns all the time. It could help you have some capacity with your adrenals, and maybe you can handle stress more. But the reality is, it's going to cause you to have more energy, better sleep, more function, your kidneys to have reduced inflammation, your your whole pancreatic system to function the way it's supposed to. We can get the toxins out of the body because your liver tissue will be able to function properly. All of these things. So understand that the reality is hydrogen makes everything work the way it's supposed to. Now, it's not going to take away no money stresses that come from no money or stresses that come in relationships. I've been married 31 years, and those things you have to handle on your own, but it will help you with your body functioning and being up to the task to accomplish your divine potential. That's what it's really about.
Beautiful. Oftentimes, water that has hydrogen also is alkaline, and then you have to limit that amount of water per day. They say that you shouldn't drink more than a liter of alkaline water per day. Can you just speak to that in terms of with your devices and hydrogen water? Is it alkalinized water, and do they have to worry about that, or can they drink as much of this as they would drink of regular water?
They can drink as much echo water as they want. And yes, that means you're going to go to the bathroom a little more. I know that's a big deal for people. But the good news is you're supposed to go to the bathroom more than you're probably going now. And when you drink water, that water combines with toxins and out it goes. And that's part of the process. So that doesn't happen forever. The increased potty issues will subside after the toxins are out of your body. Now, to speak to higher pH water, which that is what alkaline water is, it's higher
Yeah.
pH. There is no medical benefit in the human body for drinking higher pH water. Echo water is not higher pH water on purpose. When I developed all these systems, I wanted to develop a way to get hydrogen gas into water without affecting pH. So what does affect pH is hydroxides increases, and hydrogen ions decrease, neither of which is in our water. We don't produce hydrogen ions and we don't produce hydroxides. We are, through a proton exchange membrane, we are separating water molecules, and we take the oxygen and send it out to atmosphere where people can breathe it, and we dissolve the hydrogen into the remaining water molecules. So just the H2 out of the H2O goes into the water. Because H2 is neutral, it doesn't change pH because it doesn't have an extra electron or lacking an electron. It's not positively charged like an ion, hydrogen ion. It's H2 neutral, so it doesn't affect the pH. This is the best water you could drink. And I'll get on my soapbox just for one more second. Alkaline water can be very problematic and harmful to people. And so I know this is not going to be a popular subject with some of you, but it doesn't matter to me. I want to teach you truth. And I've been doing this for a long time. If you have hydrogen in your body and you can therefore produce hydrochloric acid or HCl, then drinking alkaline water is doable for your body, because as soon as you drink a higher pH solution, which is only man-made, by the way. Nothing in nature is that. But you can drink an alkaline or a higher pH solution. Your stomach environment is a 3 to 4. Your body's going to immediately go, whoa, send some hydrochloric acid down there. We gotta lower the pH of the stomach again. If you don't have hydrogen in your system, and in other words, in your alkaline water, there's no hydrogen, you can actually do damage metabolically with a person because you're forcing their stomach pH to be higher than it should be naturally. And if your body cannot produce hydrochloric acid appropriately, it can't reduce it back down. And so you've put a metabolic burden on the body. That is not a good thing to do. If you have hydrogen in the water, then it matters very little what the pH of the water is, because within seconds, if you have proper stomach acid, within seconds, and I'm being generous, the pH has been reduced. So that water you're drinking with a higher pH has no buffering capacity. It will not survive stomach acid. It will not get into your body and make your body less acid. All of that you've heard is completely false science. And let's pretend it was true for a minute, because you're all going, what? This is what I've been told in my life. Oh my gosh, you're a horrible man. I'm not a horrible man. I love you, and I want to teach you something. So it makes sense, because the alkaline makes no sense. There's no vegetables on earth that are alkaline. All of it's below 7. Everything that grows on the earth that's natural is below 7 pH. Let's pretend for a minute that you drinking a pH 9.5 water was going to somehow change your body to alkaline. Number one, it's never going to happen. But number two, if that were true, then one Coke or soda would kill you. And that's what you need to understand. You can't disregard one side of the equation when we're talking about science. When you have a high pH and you're saying that's going to help me, then a low pH would harm you. Therefore, lemon juice, tomato juice, sodas, water that has carbonation in it, like a Perrier, if you drank one of those in your life, you would die, because that pH is a 1.5 to 2, and therefore it would plummet your body pH. If an alkaline water raises it, then any of these other things would lower it. And the reality is it doesn't work that way, because we'd have a lot of people dead. And so, I mean, you see people drinking carbonated drinks all the time. So what I want you to understand is, for example, the way blood pH is managed in the body is through carbonic acid, and that's through breathing. So you can breathe one more time per minute and do far more to your blood pH than drinking alkaline water. So please understand, if there's nothing else you gather from this today, alkaline things going in your mouth do not affect your body. Having proper minerals in your body gives your body the tools to manage pH within your organs, because every organ in your body operates at a specific pH to fulfill the mission that they are designed for. Your body is never alkaline or acid. And in fact, most of the information you've been told by salespeople that are trying to sell you alkaline things, where they say that cancer can't live in an alkaline environment, it's completely false. The more alkaline the cell is, the more cancer will thrive. And this is very, very plain science. It has nothing to do with pH. Otto Warburg said oxygen thrives in an oxygen-rich or an oxygen-poor environment. It has nothing to do with pH. He was simply proving that sugar is where cancer gets its fuel, its glycolysis. And so had nothing to do with pH, nothing to do with oxygen. Cancer cells could care less if you have a ton of oxygen or not. They love sugar. So understand that I'm just trying to help you understand the truth is far more simple than the crazy stuff that people want to tell us. And I hope that helps.
Totally helps me, because I don't recommend alkaline water, but I have a lot of people who are doing that. And so anyway, I just wanted to clarify that this is not, the pH is not modified in this, and that they don't have to worry about any of that. So no, and thank you for explaining all that, because I think there is a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of products that you can sell, under the guise of that, cancer thrives in an acidic environment, but not when you explain it the way that you do. And I love that. Like, if you're going to say that you're going to drink something alkaline, it's going to alkaline and it's going to shift the body's pH, then exactly like you said, then the reverse would be true.
Right.
And we would be dead, drinking a Coke or,
Right.
lemon water or whatever. How long does water stay hydrogenated with the mechanism that you use with the proton membrane?
Gas is only going to last in a liquid a short amount of time. And what I mean by short is, for instance, look at this glass right here of hydrogen water. If I pour water in this glass that is clearly open to the environment, or what we call open to the atmosphere, 2 hours. So if you can't drink 15 ounces, 16 ounces, 20 ounces of water in 2 hours, well, I have a coaching class for you. But I'm joking. I shouldn't say that. But the point is, it's plenty of time to drink a glass of water and to get water in your system. The gas, the hydrogen gas, will go out within a couple hours. Now, if we take this device, okay, and I'll turn it on, and here we go. This unit, which you can see is putting gas. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the little bubbles. After this runs for 10 minutes, you can see the timer right on there, okay? And you can actually see that it's telling you how much hydrogen is put in the water. Right beneath the timer, can you see the ppm?
Yeah, 0.39 ppm.
Yes, so already in just a short period of time, and this will run for 10 minutes, and I will show you the ppm before it stops, which will be around 6 parts per million of hydrogen gas. Now, once this flask, this is our new Echo flask, once this has 6 parts per million and it stays under pressure, because it's going to be about 50 to 60 psi in here, depending on how much you fill it and all these things, that hydrogen is going to stay far longer than a glass because there's no lid on this. You haven't pressurized this chamber. Here, you've put this under significant pressure, right? Because you're forcing gas into it. And therefore, it will stay much longer. But once you release the pressure and you drink some of it, so you now have airspace in the top, well, now you have a path of least resistance for the hydrogen to go to. And so you need to drink it in the same thought process, a couple hours. Now, this is 12 ounces. So you should be able to drink 12 ounces within 2 hours pretty easily. So I hope that helps people understand. Now, if you put hydrogen water into a container and fill it up all the way to the very tippy top and close the lid, it will last days, possibly a week or two, depending on how much hydrogen was in there. Eventually, the hydrogen will go through the container because hydrogen is so tiny, it can go anywhere it wants to go, through metal, through glass, through plastic. But the reason we don't sell hydrogen bottled water is because we sell the devices that make it. And so you can make it as often as you wish. You can get it from a machine in your kitchen. You can get it from a portable unit for when you travel. You can do all these things so that you never have to have anxiety about, oh my gosh, I got to drink the water. Just make more of it. That's the beauty.
Yeah. Well, and that's helpful to know that it's like 2 hours and you don't have to like slam it.
Yeah.
I had the Echo Go. I'm waiting to get the
Go or the Go Plus?
I had the Go Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and I was like, that was one thing where I always drink it within like 30 minutes, but I was like, do you have to drink it faster than that? So that's helpful to know that it's 2 hours is plenty of time. Chug. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I told you this before we started recording, but I'm doing prolonged water fasting with people to heal cancer. And, with this idea of cancer is a disease of inflammation and chronic oxidative stress, which a lot of it is related to toxicity. So fasting can be a powerful way to detoxify the body from physical toxins. Also, emotionally, it brings up all of that to the surface as well. But then the big thing is autophagy, where the body's starting to use diseased tissue to survive, and not going after its vital organs and lean body mass. But one of the things that my mentor had said, he's like, you need to have your people using the Echo for hydrogen water during the fasting. So
Who's your mentor?
my mentor is, I haven't talked about him much on the podcast, but he
Okay,
is,
you can secretly tell me.
yeah, no. So he is a, do you ever read the books by Carlos Castaneda in the 1960s and 70s about Don Juan? No.
Mm-mm. Oh,
So
I've heard about it. I haven't read
yeah,
it.
so like Wayne Dyer and
Oh yeah.
Carl Sagan, all of them will talk about Don Juan. Don Juan was a very powerful
Yep.
shaman.
Yep.
Um, Carlos Castaneda was not actually the apprentice. Those stories were sold to Carlos by a boy who was 13 years old, and that boy is now 70 years old. He's a shaman, very powerful healer like Don Juan, and his name is Don Javier, and that's my mentor. But
Cool.
he's the one who found your
That's fun. And I
echo.
don't know him. I know that's
No, yeah, you wouldn't know him. He's not, you wouldn't find him in the normal
got it.
places. So
Got it.
anyway, but yeah, so he's the one
I
who
just thought
brought,
people are going to abnormal places. That's
yeah. So anyway, but I'm excited to kind of see, we're having some pretty incredible results where I've got three people who are right now at 30, they're 29 days, and one of them head and neck cancer, and the tumor is shrinking in front of us, and another one breast tumor reducing in size, and
Mhm.
so I'm excited to see with the hydrogen water as well. They do analemma. We do analemma.
Are they doing hydrogen water now?
Yeah, all of
Well,
them.
good. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I will tell you there's so many disease models, so many incredible things happening with hydrogen water. People need to be careful though. I'm going to get on a soapbox again here. 99% of the products on the market are scam products. They're not really hydrogen. They're being sold as hydrogen, but they're scam companies from China, Singapore, all over the place. And I don't want people to fall prey of the crappy products on Amazon and Alibaba because that's all they have to sell. These Chinese companies, that's all they got. Amazon and Alibaba, that's the only places they can sell their junk. And when I say junk, they make a bottle that has bubbles. So, unfortunately, unknowing individuals who are trying to save money and thinking it's okay because clearly they believe no one would ever sell them a scam product knowingly. The reality is, our bottles, the Echo Go Plus, the Echo Go, and now the Echo Flask, they use a proton exchange membrane, and we have a proprietary system, multiple patents on all of our products. They do not use traditional electrolysis. All the other products on the market that are lower than $150 on the market are all scam products that are using traditional electrolysis. Why is that bad? It's bad because they make very little hydrogen or no hydrogen, and they make hypochlorous acid and chlorine in your water. So it tastes the way it tastes because of the fact that it is making fluorinated water. And so it's really important for you to understand that that's not what you want to be purchasing. It should taste pure. It should just have hydrogen gas in it, and it should not ever taste like pond water, swamp water, which is what people say when they go on our Facebook page. And so you want to be really careful because what happens is people think our products are more expensive because we're selling a legitimate product, and then they'll go buy a cheap product and it will be horrible and they won't have any benefits. Then they'll have to go buy our product, which is more money, and then they'll have the benefits and they will have just plain wasted money. And sometimes you can get your money back, but most times these companies won't even communicate with you after you bought it. And we have people going on our Facebook page saying it was broken when they got it, but they didn't care. They wouldn't replace it or anything. So don't be scammed, please. Get a real product and there's very few of them on the market, unfortunately. Most of the stuff being sold is just pure junk that probably cost them $10 to make, and they're selling it to you for $60. And it's a problem. We can't even sell you this for $60. We would lose money. And so please understand that the membrane inside, what's called the proton exchange membrane, the actual membrane is what is the most expensive part of this bottle, believe it or not. And so just know that you got a 5-year warranty. You've got a company based in Utah. It's actually going to change your life. The things that people say the first night, their sleep is different. Their joint issues are gone within a few hours. People that have gluten and dairy intolerance, typically, not always, there's no guarantees here, but typically within 2 weeks of drinking the water properly, they can eat gluten and dairy without any inflammation. And I'm not saying you need to eat gluten and dairy. I don't
And
care.
that's what I was going to say. I'm like, don't tell my people to eat gluten and dairy.
Yeah, I'm not saying, but you should
No.
be able to. Your body
Yeah.
should be able to process it. I do. I am naughty pants sometimes because I don't see it as naughty.
No, but it's fine
Sometimes.
but it's
Yeah,
fine if you're healthy, but if you're trying to heal
correct.
cancer,
Oh yeah.
exactly. So
No,
yes,
don't
absolutely.
feed cancer sugar.
Yes, exactly.
It's the worst thing you could do. Do what Dr. Deming says. I'm just saying, once you get through this initial issue, when you're back into your life and you want to add in some celebratory foods, but remember, those things aren't your staple diet. They're something you might have every once in a while. But I would just tell you that if your gut is functioning properly, the rest of your body will be functioning properly. And you should be able to eat whatever the heck you want to eat, and your body should be able to process it. Now, there are some genetic issues that will cause you to not process certain foods. There are people that have genetic issues, DNA issues, where gluten and different things they'll never be able to do, or they'll end up with IBS. But just understand that gut issues don't have to be forever. Hydrogen can fix the gut. It changes the terrain and the biome and the bacteria that's there, and that's how you actually fix the gut, is getting the right bacteria in the gut.
Yep. No, I love it. And so tell us, and I'm actually very specific with my clients who are fasting. They're like, can I get one of the cheaper ones? I'm like, nope, you have to get this because this is the
Right.
one that actually is making hydrogen in the water in the way that
Right.
you need it. So tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find the products.
Thank you. So our main website is, of course, our only website is echowater.com, ECHO, Echo Water, WATER.com. And then if anyone that wants to review the studies, I own a website that no products on it. It's Hydrogen Studies with an S, hydrogenstudies.com. And you can go and review all of the thousands of studies that are there and research your disease model, organs, whatever you want. But that's where we are.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us and for creating a product that helps modulate disease and reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. I'm certainly a fan. So thank you so much, Paul. It was nice to have you.
Yes.
Take care. Thank you for joining me on Born to Heal. It's been a privilege to share this time with you, and I hope that today's episode has offered you valuable insights on your journey toward optimal health. Please consider subscribing, sharing this podcast with your friends, and leaving us a review. To learn more about how you can work with me, please visit katiedeming.com. You can find additional resources in the episode show notes linked below, and remember to join us next week as we continue to explore more holistic approaches to healing. Until then, this is Dr. Katie Deming, reminding you that just like me, you were born to heal.